Hey YouTube, what's going on again? It's me, Logan. I just want to make a second video tonight, probably my last one tonight as well, about my MEPS experience for when I was trying to enlist into the military. Before I get into it, I just want to explain to you people what MEPS is. MEPS basically is, well, first it stands for Military Entrance Processing Command, and basically what it is it examines all future soldiers, airmen, Marines, sailors, physically and to an extent mentally to figure out if they're fit for military service. All people going into the military have to go through this process, and it's a little bit of a pain, but it's necessary. Even though some of their reasonings for disqualifying people is pretty dumb, but you look past it and you find out why. So basically, I'm going to try to make the story before I actually got there as short as possible. I turned 18 September 17th, and I signed up like 4 days later, and I took the ASVAB test before I went to MEPS, so I scored like a 60 on that. It's really easy. You don't even need to study. Well, I didn't need to study. I bet if I studied, I could have done better, but a 60 is pretty good. So anyway, I did the ASVAB, and I went back. I reserved my job. It ended up being an 11 X-ray infantryman, option 40, which is the Ranger contract, which basically guarantees me a chance to go to Ranger school and airborne school after basic training. So basically, before you go to MEPS, you get sent to a hotel. I live in central Jersey, so I went to Fort Dix for MEPS, and the hotel I stayed at was a Crown Plaza, which is right outside Philadelphia. It was really nice. So I'd say it's like 30 minutes away from Fort Dix. Most of the time you get stationed with a roommate at the hotel, and you get free dinner and a free breakfast, but they wake you up really early. That's the only really downside of that, but I didn't really mind. I actually woke myself up so I could take a shower before I go down. So the next morning I woke up, got a free breakfast, and we got shuttled over to Fort Dix on a bus. We got there and we were told to line up in 3 lines. The first line were for people who were never in the building before, their first time at Fort Dix. The second line was for people who were already there once before, say for people who failed MEPS the first time or took the ASVAB already. I was in that line. And then you got the third line for people that were shipping out that day, because you also have to go through a mini sort of physical examination before you head out to basic training. So after we lined up, we got herded into the building like cattle. And we went through a little metal detector, and we put our bags in the baggage room, and my line went to the front desk, and we got our little medical packets the doctors had to fill out, and we went upstairs. I went upstairs, and the first test for me was the blood pressure test. It was in this one little room down the hallway. I walk in with this other kid, and we sit down, and the nurse came in like 10 minutes later. She took our blood pressure, and unfortunately for me, my blood pressure read a little high. Now, I don't normally have high blood pressure. I was just nervous because I thought I was going to fail MEPS, which evidently I did, but I'll get to that later. So I was nervous, and my blood pressure and pulse rate was a little high. She tried again 2 more times, and I couldn't really calm myself down. So she was nice enough to say, we'll retest you later. So she put it down on my paper, and she sent me on my way to the next test, and that was nice of her. So I was like, okay, that's not that bad, but I was still nervous. So my blood pressure was still a little high, and my pulse rate as well. So the next test was the vision exam. Really easy. I really have nothing wrong with my eyes. I do wear glasses for long range, but that's no problem. Passed that easily. Then the hearing test, that was a little more of a problem because they put you in a soundproof room, and you get little earphones on, and you have to click a button every time you hear a sound. But the room isn't really soundproof. Like, you hear vibrations from the outside, and everyone else that's in the room with you clicks their buttons as well, and you hear it pretty loud. The earmuffs you were given don't really cancel out any outside sound. So, but I passed that too. At first I didn't, because I heard everyone else in the room clicking their buttons, and I was like, oh shit, what do I do? Because I didn't really hear any tones, but I mean, when I did, I clicked the button, and I did good. I don't know about the other people, but oh well. So after that, we went to the physical, and this is where was my downfall. The doctor checks you out. So we took off our clothes and pants, and we're just in our underwear, and we lined up to see the doctor one by one. When it came to my turn, I walked into his office, and the first thing he said, "Oh, cystic acne, huh?" And I was like, oh, here we go. And I was like, yes, sir, it's cystic acne. And he was like, does it bother you? And I was like, no. And he's like, do you do any sports? And I was like, yes, I was a varsity swimmer for high school. But yeah, I guess he didn't see through it. I tried explaining to him it didn't bother me, but he wrote down something, and at first I thought I was disqualified, but I thought I was too, but it didn't look like it because he continued with the interview. He asked me if I did any drugs. I said no, and basically what I filled out on my pre-questionnaire. I didn't really lie about anything, so I had nothing to worry about there. So basically, he checked for any hernias. You know how that goes if you're, and I had none. So he sent me out, and then I was back in the room with all the other guys that were shirtless and stuff, and we just did the infamous duck walk and all these weird stretches. It was kind of weird. There was actually one guy in the room who couldn't do the duck walk, so they sent him out. And after that, I went to take the PP test, where you have to piss in a cup and you give it to the person. They watch you, so there's no cheating on that. I don't do drugs, so that's nothing to worry about. And then I got my blood taken. I don't, still I had nothing to worry about. So I'm not even scared of needles. So, they just kind of stuck it in, took the blood, piece of cake. So after that, I was pretty much done, but I had to get my heart checked out again. Because it was still beating, and I had to get retested later on for the heart and blood pressure thing, My blood pressure and pulse rate was still high, so they hooked me up to this, machine that, I felt ridiculous. They laid me down on this little bed, and they put, these little sticker things on certain areas of my body that I guess monitor my heart, and there was nothing wrong with my heart, but my pulse rate was too high, and they don't want to take any risks, so they wrote something down about that too. And then they told me to go to the front desk because I was all done, and I was like, I thought they send you home, maybe I'm not disqualified. So I went up to the lady at the front desk, and she signed me off, and she said, go downstairs, give this to the liaison. I'm like, oh, maybe I got accepted. I was all happy. I went downstairs, I gave it to the Army liaison. He looked through my papers, looked at me, and he was like, what's wrong with your heart? And I was like, excuse me? And he goes, you got disqualified because you have a high pulse rate. And I was like, oh. And my mood kind of, like a roller coaster, shot down. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, sorry, buddy. I'm like, is it permanent? And he goes, no, you could come back. Just talk to your recruiter. And I was like, all right. So he called up my recruiter while I sat down in a room, the lobby area. And eventually my recruiter came, picked me up, and I was sent home. I was given a waiver for my blood pressure, and the doctors at MEPS wanted records of my skin. So basically for the next week, I went to get my blood pressure read from my clinical doctor, my physician, and I went to my dermatologist to get clinical records for my skin. We sent those in a few days ago. We just found out the MEPS didn't accept them. They accepted the blood pressure thing. I have normal blood pressure, but they didn't accept the skin thing, and they said I have to come back when it's all cleared up, which is why I'm going to be going on Accutane. I explained my skin situation in another video. I'll put the link in my description. So yeah, that was my MEPS experience. It really wasn't that bad. I mean, the only bad thing was that it was a long day, and the people at MEPS can be a little bit snotty, but as long as you don't talk back to them and just do what you're told, you won't have a problem. It's really not that bad, nothing to be scared of. If you're nervous, just try to calm yourself down. Don't be like me and have like a high pulse rate and they think you have high blood pressure when you don't. So just be calm, go through it. If you have nothing to worry about, don't worry. Be honest with them. You don't want to be caught lying. I mean, they say they're going to send you to jail if they find you lying, but you really won't. But still, if they're caught lying, you can't get in. That's basically it. Yeah, I mean, that's basically my advice to you as well. Just be calm and don't talk back and just do what you're told. You're going to be there for a while, so, while you're waiting places to get a test or, waiting to get picked up by a recruiter, talk to other people. They have all these different people are going through there. They all have cool stories to share, why they're enlisting, all where they come from. And it's a cool experience. And I'm pretty sad that I didn't get to go through the whole thing to actually enlist. But I'll be enlisting at a later date to go through MEPS again when my skin clears up. So thanks for watching my video. Have a nice evening or morning or whatever time of day when you watch this video, and I'll make another one soon. Bye bye.